Well, good morning, Sarah. This is my good friend, Sarah Ament, who so graciously has spent I don't even know how many thousands of hours on this beautiful artwork that she is doing for Volume 2 of my Carol's Retuned project, releasing this Advent 2025. 3 songs, all spaced 2 weeks apart, releasing starting Friday, November 14th. And Sarah graciously also did the art for my first volume of Carol's Retuned and has joined again. We've been friends for a long time now, walked through a lot of seasons of life, and you're one of the few friends that I feel like we can be just totally, buddies and hang out at park dates and do sleepovers, but then also put on our professional pants and talk business. So, anyway, Sarah, I would love to just kind of hear your thoughts on a number of things. One thing I'm curious about is how the experience of 2022 artwork differs from this time. I know you did a different medium, you also are living in a different place, and for both of them, we have not really lived in the same town, even though now we're in the same state. So I'll hand it off to you.
Sure. Well, it's great to talk to you, Olivia, and thank you for reaching out to me to collaborate with you on these pieces of music. And my part is the album art. So that was very special to get your note about that this summertime. And I was immediately very excited about it and interested to use some new types of art that I've been learning lately. So
Awesome.
a couple years ago, Olivia and I worked together in 2022 on her first Christmas Retuned album. And for those pieces of art, I used, I think, sketches and then vector art for the final piece. So that style of art be a little crisper lines, a little more defined, I guess you could say, as far as the line work. And the theme for that was a winter village, like a Scandinavian winter village.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of working with similar themes for this next album, but the difference is that I wanted to do it by hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been a very nice just experience to get to try something new. This summer and fall, I've been volunteering at a wood type museum in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, and had been learning a bit about making your art by hand, carving and whatnot. And so Olivia was up for it, that I could use that type.
Absolutely. Awesome, Sarah. Thanks so much. Love hearing those reflections. And I actually still don't totally know what Linocut is. I've tried to describe it to a number of people and shown them little pictures that you've texted me in progress. But could you describe that for the person who doesn't know what Linocut is? And I don't know if Linocut is the right term, so I'll let you describe it.
Yeah, sure. Yes, it's the right term. So originally there's woodcut prints, which are when you're carving in a slab of wood, which is wonderful, but it also takes a little more skill because the medium is a bit harder. But what I did for these pieces is use linoleum.
Mm-hmm.
So this is about a little more than a 1/4 inch thick slab of linoleum, and carved my design into that. So the first step, well, the very first step is talking a lot to this lady about what do we want here and how do we hope that the listener will feel when they're
Mm-hmm.
taking in the song and looking at the album art.
Yeah.
To feel comforted, cozy, contemplative, or excited.
Right.
Then we looked through some different inspiration images online as far as different types of art. And then I got to sketching and starting to create the piece.
Awesome. And Sarah, I actually have some photos ready to pull up here of, I didn't warn you about this, but so I can edit it out if you don't want this on the screen. But these were like some really early sketches, right, of Deck the Halls.
Mm-hmm.
of time. We wanted like an element of, a big theme is I need some time to grieve, to process before I can deck the halls. And so a lot of this kind of clock themed, we kind of wanted like a vintage 70s-ish thing going on. And so it was truly remarkable for me to kind of sort of have these ideas dreaming up like on an airplane ride, talk to you, and then within 24 hours you texted me, here are your thoughts in pictures. It almost brought me to tears to see them take new flesh that way. So
Good.
Yeah.
Yes. But here's a couple of our sketches, which are quite light, but it's sketched directly onto transfer paper. So I have the original design on the computer, and then I sketch it onto this transfer paper. And next, I take this paper and attach it to the linoleum block here.
Mm-hmm.
And then use a spoon or credit card or something with a hard edge to rub the design onto the block. Just pushing hard on all the edges here.
Wow.
Then take it off, and you can see that some of the edges of the drawing are still on there, as well as the ink. And I use this tool to carve out the negative space for the design.
Oh my gosh.
Different bits you can use that will have different thicknesses for the smaller negative space or the larger ones, like within the boxes here.
Incredible. What are some of the risks of like, oh, I carved too? I'm sure you can, if you don't carve deep enough, you can fix that. But do you ever carve too deep, and how do you handle that? What's the kind of, how does the process evolve when human hand is involved with, mistakes here and there?
Oh, yes, that's a good point. I think it is just having a relaxed and open mind when you're creating the art. That if you do make a line that I'm like, oh, I didn't plan to make that line, or the tool slips, just roll with it and make it into something else. Like, say, for the branches of the greenery, evergreen branches on the top of the mantle, those were a bit painstaking to get all the lines. And there were quite a few lines within that part where the tool slipped a bit. And it's like, oh, all right, I think I'll make the branch go this way.
Wow.
And with especially small details like that, you can morph a bit and see what the art turns into, which is a fun experience, and kind of, as Olivia and I have talked about, serving the work, being a part of the work projects, less about me and my idea, happening on the medium right here, which is the block. So
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I feel like in any art form, whether it's what you're describing here, or for me with working with instruments, or even the limitations of my relatively low human voice for a female, I'm like contra alto, and so thinking, how can I work with what I have to sing these things well? How can you work with the tools? And I think there is that element of kind of trusting the medium that you're working with, because you can't truly make it do anything that you want, but how can you partner with it to then make something new, using old tools, trusted methods, and then your brand new ideas. What is that combination like? Yeah. Which actually I'll mention now too, that even working musician and artist, there's also a trust and kind of a serving the work together kind of thing, which happens, which is really neat. And during this whole process, I actually attended a conference called Hutchmoot. It's awesome if you want to look it up. But I attended a talk with author Malcolm Geit and his artist, Stephen Krotz. And it was really cool. While Sarah and I were in contact about this process while I was away, attending this talk, hearing them describe kind of the relationship between the author and the illustrator, and how it's really not just the author making all the calls and saying, here, do exactly what I want you to do, figure it out. This is my vision. But really, in this situation, Malcolm had a 4-volume work. And he said after he wrote the first volume and Stephen did the art, as he then wrote volume 2, he was referencing Stephen's art from volume 1 to kind of say, what is this about? I'm sure I wrote the text, but his art now informs what I think of as what this, kind of embodied work is altogether. So it was cool to share that with Sarah and say, hey, I just want to do a better job at trusting you with the art and, letting you do your thing instead of kind of micromanaging the process. So, so that was pretty cool to walk through together.
Yeah, I was encouraged when Olivia shared that experience with me, how she'd been to that talk and heard from those 2 gentlemen about their process of working together. And it encouraged me too that we both have a voice that we're sharing in this project, and that felt very honoring that she shared that with me as I help her ultimately with her project, but that she wants to hear my voice in it, and that was very nice.
Absolutely. And I just regret not learning, as we all do, as we mature and age and learn things. I regret not having more of that mindset the first time, but thanks for coming back.
Yeah, it's great been working with you.
Awesome. Something I've been thinking about the last couple of days is actually how when you trust someone, you kind of actually can start creating culture together on whatever level. This is not maybe a culture, but that can happen in a marriage or a community. The more you trust one another and, establish that it's a safe place or person to trust, you can then say, let's collaborate and create something new, which is a lot more meaningful than one person kind of creating their this is my kingdom and this is how it's going to be. So love that trust among artists too. Yeah. Awesome. Well, anything else you want to share?
Sure. Let's see. Well, I can show one more thing. Once the block is carved, then I use this ink to get the impression. For that, I use this acrylic sheet here, put the ink on this piece, and then this sprayer to roll out the ink. And next transfer that onto the block.
Man.
And then you can make all these prints. So there's been a lot of test prints over time. But here you can see a test print for Deck the Halls. It's coming along. We got another one. This one has a little too much ink. And
wow.
Then you just keep working on it till you've got a print that looks even.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's why I know the other night you were working on Silent Night, which I see behind you there.
Oh, yeah.
And I was wondering, I'm sure there's a reason that there's that many, but I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's trying to get the right look, the right amount of ink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how do you want, if there's any seams showing or splotches in the ink, you can just see the differences between this one and the, that's some light.
Oh, sure. The light is shining behind the light.
And anyway, that's a great thing about doing it by hand, that it will look different at each print you make.
Right. That's wonderful. That's kind of been a general theme. I think anytime I put out music, I do probably everyone at some extent, or most people feel this way, but you want it to feel organic. And so I used real strings in the instrumentation for the album. You could just find a really great quality string sound in software, but I wanted people who actually I know and love that play cello and violin to play the real instruments and have that kind of human touch on it, which I think it makes way for surprise sometimes, because again, that trust, when you trust, you're open to new things. So I like that you did that by hand and everything that symbolizes.
Right, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the mistakes in making it work, or the extra, carving that went kind of wrong at first. Using it for something good is trusting even the process there.
Yeah. I'm very meta, so I always have lots of, oh, this reminds me of
Yes.
this and this. But even with parenting, you trust you might think your kid is capable of a certain task, or come on, I want you to push through. And if they're really hitting a wall, it doesn't serve anybody to force something to happen. Even if it's let's do this later or let's give you a break. But yeah, you can't, it's not really living, trusting the things around you, I think, and living in awareness to just force something. So anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
Good point.
We also like to talk about parenting. So then the next step in the process, right? Because you then add color, right? So can you talk about how you go from it's on paper to it's on your computer and then it's in my hands?
Sure. Yes. So once the prints are made, then I choose the best one of the lot, scan it, and then put it into my computer. And for this project, I used adding in some color with Adobe Illustrator, some different, uh, yeah, I guess filters on there to um, distill the color in different ways, make it lighter or darker or whatnot to
Yes.
to add to the print. And
That's
yeah,
awesome.
the copying was good, and then send it off to Olivia to get her feedback on what colors are really working. And
Right. That's wonderful. Yes. So actually, I have here, I initially had for Deck the Halls, which is what we're working on right now that releases next. These were sort of the colors I was thinking. I'll see if I can shift this over to be in the main screen. Ooh, I can't. Um, oh, there we go. Well, I had some colors in mind, and they turned out not to be the colors we went with. So she had kind of a mood board. It's just below the screen. I don't know how to shift this down. Oh, no. Anyway, the colors were sort of gold, blue, tan, brown. And then once I saw it, I thought, you know what? I think that I need some green because the tree, even though I didn't decide to use green, a Christmas tree is green. The greenery up here should be green. And so let's kind of run with that. And so Sarah was so kind to be flexible and completely change the colors, which I'll share at the end how it turned out. Then we decided, maybe not the text, maybe not all album art needs to feature the title. So took that out. Yeah.
yeah, as we were looking into this print for Deck the Halls, I think both of our families, yours and mine, made the same comment to me, like, I think that looks like snow on the tree.
Yeah.
Right, okay. How do we make this look like it's indoors? Look like a close-up scene of a fireplace, as in the song it talks about, obviously I need some time, and then the firelight glowing. Is that right, Olivia?
See the fire before us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this needs to be an indoor scene, and that was fun getting your family and my family's comments kind of about the pieces, and that really helped.
Yeah, right. I think that's so true. And even on some of the other ones with Oh Little Town, which is coming out too, there was a lot of ideas. Can you turn the snow globe into an O for Oh Little Town, right? Everyone had that brilliant idea. And then the artist's like, I don't know that can happen. But it's funny to hear everyone's feedback and helpful. Yes. So right, because the other two artworks are supposed to be outdoors, right? So snow would be appropriate, but this was kind of like the intimate living room, and so we don't want snow in the intimate living room, I guess. Yeah.
For the three pieces, I had an idea of starting closer in on the first one, so it's the close-up scene indoors, and then is Silent Night, which will be an outdoor scene. You're about 5 feet away or so from the subject matter, and then the last one, A Little Town, you're even further away from.
I don't think I realized that process.
Zooming out, so that they're connected but separate.
That's so cool. Yeah, everything tells the story. I love that so much. Speaking of Deck the Halls, when you first sketched it, I just am in love with this sketch that you did. And this was before we kind of knew what sort of text would be on the boxes or the title. but this was sort of before it all happened. Anyway, got the ornaments on the bottom, the tree. So when you sent this, I was just in love. Yeah.
Good.
Cool. Well, this is really, really cool to hear about. I know we've spent most of the time on Deck the Halls, but as you said, Silent Night is the outdoor scene, and then A Little Town is actually an Irish song, so that was interesting, combining kind of the Middle Eastern themes of Bethlehem and what does a village look like that would actually be in Bethlehem. How do you fuse that with Celtic knots and Irish music? Because really those are pretty different. But do you have any of that, or do you not have that yet on?
Yes.
You do have it to pull up.
Oh
gosh, what's that?
It's definitely in process still,
Oof.
but we have the block here for A Little Town, and then here's one test print. It's coming along.
It's so good.
Not final yet, but the knots were really fun to carve on the side, overlapping ribbon type of thing.
Absolutely. I love actually how true each ribbon was. Like if you trace it, you did an excellent job. They're not just random loops, but you actually see them in true form, how a real ribbon would be. Wow.
Yeah.
So
and
cool.
I really like that you were okay with that idea, because it just reminds me of your music since I've known you the last 7 years or so, loving Irish music and memories that I've had with you doing that music in California and now here, Milwaukee, and
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
A perfect little tie-in. Speaking of Irish music in Milwaukee, Sarah and I, with some good friends, attended Irish Fest Milwaukee mid-August. A lot of this process has come together fairly quickly. So 2.5 months ago, we went to Irish Fest, and we had been meaning to also have a little business meeting about the album. So I said, Sarah, how would you feel about driving my car to Irish Fest, and I'll sit in the back seat and play all my songs for you on guitar? And Sarah was so kind. We got a little bit lost, and it was a little bit rough at times, but she kept driving. This is Sarah in the front seat. Can I pull this over? Oh, there we go. So graciously driving my car, and me in the back seat playing guitar. So anyway, thanks for that experience, and it accomplished a lot in about an hour.
Oh yeah. Creative ways of working or collaborating together is good in my book.
Yeah. Awesome.
And on that note, I know Olivia and I have had a giggle about this over time, but it just shows this is our life and how we do things. For me, with the album art, it was great to be able to work on it different places around the country, honestly, throughout a few months. So I think I kind of was starting on the inspiration boards at Lake Michigan one time at the beach with the kids. Then at my dining room table, multiple days in an airplane. I was sketching the Silent Night bunnies.
Awesome.
And in an airport. Then at the Pacific Ocean too, I was working on carving. I think it was A Little Town. Yeah. And then our car meeting. So
yeah,
it's nice to work with someone who is okay with kind of a unorthodox approach to creating art. Doesn't have to happen just in the studio, but it can be wherever you find yourself. And two busy ladies like Olivia and I can make that normal, which is nice.
Right. Yes. Also, kind of the element of time sort of transcends to, like, it's 12:30. You're still awake? Awesome. Here's a quick question, right? A lot of late night collaborating too, or running drafts by each other, that kind of thing. I mean, if you're a creative person, I think it's kind of funny that your creative whims don't necessarily follow your timeline that you set out for them. So you might be in the studio and have no ideas, but you might be driving on the freeway to soccer practice and have lots of ideas. And so it never really just shuts off, or, it's unpredictable. So sometimes you got to work with what you got. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Olivia's good about that with like sending a voice memo or something like that, when she's out, and then I'll listen to it when I'm driving somewhere. I'll have it playing, or I'm on a walk or whatnot. So
yeah, I love it. Well, thanks, Sarah, for taking the time to speak about your process. It's so cool. It's happening whether or not we all get a glimpse into it. So it is neat to actually see the behind the scenes that goes into how this will turn out. And I think at this point, I'm going to pull up the final photo. I don't think I can get all of it in the one screen, but this is how it turned out. Beautiful. The green, the gold bulbs, the lit lights. So, yes. Thank you, Sarah, for your time and for all your hard work and your heart in this process.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome. Have a great day.